I've investigated a lot of oddities in my time. Lights that moved against the wind, houses where sound refused to travel, people who swore their reflections stopped matching them. But the strangest request I ever received was this: come monitor our darkness. Not the darkness, mind you, our darkness. At the time, I still believed shadows were passive things, a simple optical consequence. You don't notice your own breath until it catches in the cold. You don't notice your shadow unless it's doing something wrong. And up until the spring I met the bees, my shadow had always behaved itself. Always stuck close. Always minding the rules of light. But shadows have never been known for following rules, have they? Only people do. Or try to. The bees, J&M we'll call them, were introduced to me by an old contact who had the remarkable habit of surviving encounters with phenomena simply too absurd for common sense. The kind of man who could say, completely deadpan, "The lake hissed at me," and you'd believe him. He called to inform me that a couple on the outskirts had a shadow problem, and "you're the only idiot who will take this seriously." I wasn't insulted. He was right. At the time I was freelancing for a magazine that used to be big, the kind of publication that once printed theories about cosmic consciousness and had since downgraded to interviewing celebrities about their favourite incense. My last 3 articles had been fluffy pieces about musicians with a paranormal twist. I needed something with teeth, something that didn't involve a publicist. So when the bees claimed their shadows were gaining independence, I thought, perfect, let's go meet the lunatics. Their property sat at the end of a dirt road, wrapped in fir trees so tall they blotted out part of the sky. The house itself was a single-storey, partly brick, partly wood, and wholly neglected place. Not in a tragic way, more in the way a museum piece is neglected, untouched, unchanged, existing out of stubborn refusal. The lawn was overgrown, the yard cluttered with rusted tools, half-broken chairs, and one heroic attempt at a bird feeder that had collapsed long ago. Yet something was strange about it all. None of the objects had shadows. I only noticed later when replaying the scene in my mind. At the time I just chalked the absence up to cloud cover and the angle of the sun. J&M opened the door in unison. You know how some couples grow to resemble each other? They'd taken it a step further. Same height, same rectangular glasses, same haircut with slight variations, same smile that looked borrowed from a taxidermied mannequin. They greeted me with identical nods. The dog, an elderly black Labrador, watched from behind them, tail thumping once, lazily. I remember thinking, they seem too normal to be serial killers, which is exactly what serial killers want you to think. Their living room looked as though the 1970s had swallowed it and had never spat it back out. Brown and mustard colours assaulted the eyes. Everything from the carpet to the wallpaper to the lampshades looked like visual noise given physical form. The bubbling glass in the cabinet doors distorted everything behind them, making the whole room seem filtered through a fever dream. A clock, a tall grandmother clock, unseen but loud, ticked at a rate slightly slower than normal. I didn't think much of it until later. Its rhythm was hypnotic, like something trying to lull the house to sleep. The tea they served me smelled faintly of lavender and old cupboards. J&M stood side by side, hands clasped behind their backs, facing me like 2 teachers waiting for a student to misbehave. They spoke in alternating fragments, often finishing each other's sentences. Their combined voice painted a timeline. 6 months. Initial incident. J's shadow refusing to follow him. Subsequent incidents. M's shadow doing the same. Escalation. The shadows began roaming. They explain this all with the cheerful mundanity of people discussing lawn maintenance. I asked the obvious question, does the dog react? They both laughed, a strange synchronized giggle that felt rehearsed. Em told me to check the left side of the sofa. I leaned over, expecting to see a wet patch or a trick of the pattern. What I saw instead was a dog. Not a dog, but a dog-shaped absence. A silhouette unnaturally crisp against the carpet. And it was wrong. Too dark, too sharp, too present. Like a hole had been carved in the world. The real Labrador lay across the room, snoring. Is it stuck there? I asked. No, silly, Em said. Look again. Against every screaming instinct, I did. It had moved. Its posture had changed completely. Legs stretched sideways now, head tilted back as though howling silently. The real dog still slept. I jerked upright so fast my teeth sloshed. What the hell? We told you, Jay said with a shrug. The explanation was collapsing under the weight of new evidence. Either the bees were performing the greatest long con illusion I'd ever seen, or something in that house had violated physics in a manner that made my skin feel 3 sizes too small. Then I noticed something else. Their feet. Bare, slightly calloused, planted on the hideous carpet. But no shadows. Not even the faintest smudge. You don't have shadows, I whispered. Em smiled, almost pityingly. Neither do you. I didn't want to look. I really, really didn't. But I did. And she was right. I lifted my hands, blinking hard, waving them like an idiot trying to detect a glitch. There was a light in the room, dim, golden, antique light, enough to cast shadows, enough for normal rules to apply. But the rules had left. Where's my shadow? I asked. Jay pointed to the door. Where all of them go. I followed the gesture. Next to the door, near the umbrella stand on a welcome mat that said, "Bless this home," was a dark patch. Not a shape, a mass. A collected darkness with ragged edges, like several shadows melted together and forgotten by their owners. Something in it pulsed. A slow, aching tug like the weight of an anchor. My stomach turned. I want to leave, I said, more to myself than to them. Will you come back to help us? Em asked. We don't get visitors often, said Jay. Their faces softened in a way that almost made me feel cruel for wanting to escape. Almost. But something beneath that softened look was hungry. I grabbed my coat. The moment I stepped outside, the world felt real again. The air was crisp, the sky turning blue to indigo. The moon was rising, its light carving a long clean shadow directly from my feet. Relief swelled in me so hard it made my knees shake. I turned to look back. J and M stood framed in their doorway, lit from behind by that pale yellow, static-filled interior glow. Smiling, watching, hopeful, expectant. Thanks for the tea, I called, my voice crackling slightly. I got in my car and reversed more quickly than necessary. The headlights hit the fir trees and for a moment I swear I saw something dark between them. A flicker of movement without a form. I didn't stop to check. I didn't write the article. I didn't mention the case to the magazine. And I didn't even tell my contact what I'd seen. I buried the memory and pretended shadows obeyed normal rules again. But sometimes, when the light is just right and my shadow stretches long beside me, I get the sense it hesitates. Just slightly. A flicker of lag, a reluctance to move at my command. as if it remembers the house, remembers the others, and is considering whether it wants to stay with me or go back. I still wonder what happened to the bees, whether their shadows ever returned, whether the mass by the door kept growing. And on quiet nights when that hesitation in my own shadow feels longest, I wonder something else too. If I'd stayed in that house just a little longer, would I have left with my shadow? Or would only one of us have walked out? As always, be free.